Hello again, everybody. It's Harry Boxer, Technical Trader. It's Monday night, August the 22nd. As promised, these are the charts of the day. We're going to focus on Boxer shorts. Another ugly day in Wall Street. It's hard to tell when this is going to end. Right now, when you see the charts, I'm going to show you, and we'll run through them quickly. Quite a few ugly patterns. Here, ADTRAN, which has been on our list for a few months now, rolled over hard in July, came down from the low 40s into the mid-20s and near support, and is even having a difficult time bouncing other than this one day here, a week and a half ago. It then gapped down a few days ago. It's at secondary support, but if things continue lower, that could easily fall down towards the 22-23 zone. AGP, which got crushed at the end of July and came down really hard in early August, finally did bounce, but you can see has rolled over here, and the way this looks, until downside momentum has been ceased or lows are tested and reversed, this may very well see the mid to high 30s before it's over. Akamai, another disastrous pattern, multiple tops here, roll over in February, pulled back in March, April, came down hard into June and consolidated, and then just got hammered with a big gap down at the end of July, bounced to resistance, failed, and rolled over again. It's actually gone through the bottom of the channel at this point. It continues to make lower lows, and it's accelerating downward. Not sure where this can go, especially after this key support was taken out. Wouldn't shock me, though, to see this down in the mid-teens before it's over, to test this zone approximately at that level, maybe 15, 16. ANSS rolled over as well here. Topping formation, cracked, snapped back, and rolled down to test support around 45.6 zone. If this fails, look for a rollover down to the 39.40 area. Up next is ASMI, completing a top, came down hard, bounced, made a lower low. It's now completed a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave decline, bounced to resistance, and is at least retesting here. But if that's taken out, look for a test of 19 range, short term. Bio-Rad broke its top in July, came hard down from 115 to 95 range, bounced up to 103.4 zone resistance, and then rolled over here. Today down about another $1.38. And if it takes out the 95 area, look for a move potentially down to test the low to mid 80s. BMC software also hammered with a big thrust to the downside at the end of July. Finally arrested the decline, snapped back to resistance, but failed and rolled over and made new lows here. The lows around the 34 range may be tested short term before this is over. CCMP also rolled over from the top, broke hard here with a breakaway gap to the downside, formed a bear wedge, and pulled back down. Tried to bounce today and came off by $1.50, closed only up 50 cents. But if this thing breaks down below, say 37 or so, we could see something in the low 30s again before this one's over, maybe even as high as low as 30 down here. CHTR, Charter Communications, with an ugly drop after forming a top, bounced sharply, but it's coming down again, dropping $1.30 today. And a takeout of the 40 and a half area could lead to something in the mid to high 30s. COHR completed a head and shoulders top, cracked the neckline, snapped back to it right here, and it rolled over hard and took out support. And even though it tried to rally up to 41 and change today, closed 38.92, down on the day, a big negative reversal, which could lead to more downside. Approximate target 33. CPLA in a very negative declining channel. At this point, even a parallel channel here have been broken, in my opinion. And so it's accelerated downward and has broken through several layers of support and has moved all the way down from the 90s to the 30s. And yet this stock doesn't appear to have bottomed yet, although I would say this is less of a likely short for more downside at this point than some of the others we've just looked at. Cree, although a very sharp bounce occurred on short covering, the stock has rolled over hard to retest. Let's see if it holds in here. And let's see if this pattern is arrested here. If not, we may see the stock move down to retest the low down around 25, 26 short term. Diodes, after a big drop end of July, early August, we snapped back to resistance, rolled over here, and before it's over, we may see the stock in the mid-teens. Stay tuned. DLB, nasty decline. As you know, this has been on the list since the bear flag here in January when it was at 60s. Stock has come down into the high 20s and bounced back to form a bear wedge of sorts here. If this rolls over, we could see the stock test and take out the lows and get into the mid-20s before it's over on DLB. Ensign Group, Nasty breakdown here, one big day of negativity, followed by a couple weeks of bear wedge, bear flag type pattern. This looks lower at least 18 3/4, perhaps even as low as the mid-teens before this one's over. FDS, a rollover mini head and shoulder top breakdown, bear wedge, another little mini wedge, sharp rollover and snapback. And right now we're retesting. If that's taken out, look for a low into the low 70s. FFIV is up next. Ugly breakdown after consolidating for 3-4 months. It broke down hard from the high 117.18 zone down to around 70, bounced up to 85, and actually rolled over to make new lows here, which could lead to something in the low 60s, if not lower. FLS, Flowserve, cracked here, formed a big bear wedge, broke hard, came down to key support and bounced, and now has made lower lows. Be careful with this one. There's the potentiality that if it cracks this level, we could see a quick slide down towards the 61 zone to test this key support level there. Graco GGG broke here, gap down, and got crushed, bounced back to resistance, failed and rolled over to make new lows. We may see lower levels down towards 30 before this one's done. GPRO also in a declining bear channel, looking pretty ugly. You can see the breakdown here, the snap back to resistance, the roll over to retest. Should that be taken out? Wouldn't be shocked to see the stock down around the high 40s. Up next is IHS, broke down hard, bear flagged, then rolled over from the mid 80s to the high 60s, snapped back to resistance, pulled back, tried to rally today, and fell $2 off its high to close up only 26 cents. This one, should it break this line here, could come down quickly and test the low 60s on IHS. INFA, also a very negative pattern. Looks to me like it should fall apart here and maybe see something in the low 30s. This is quite the negative pattern. Here we have a bounce to resistance, a rollover that took out support, a bounce back to the broken neckline, and then a crush from the 50 range down to the high 30s before it even tried to bounce. But yet, this pattern reeks of lower levels coming up, although it is quite oversold here short term. IPCM, looking pretty ugly, has dropped from the mid 50s or low 50s down to the mid 30s, bounced to resistance, rolled over hard. Today's big negative reversal from 38 3/4 to 35.53. It augurs well for lower levels. The next test of support may not come until around the $30 level. ITRI continues to look as bad as you can get, having dropped from the 80 range down into the low 30s, and yet no bottom in sight, although this one is got some major support right in this zone and may very well try to hold it in this area. Creighton, KRA. After this breakdown and 2-month bear flag, this rollover snap breakdown was followed by a snap back to the resistance level and now new lows. Conceivably, we'll see 18 on this before it's over. MCO, a very negative head and shoulders type pattern, a breakdown, snapback, and a break from lower lows. There is some support in this zone near here, but we may see the stock come down as low as the mid to low 20s short term. Up next is NPK. This stock continues in a very negative bear channel. The snapback to resistance rolled over here today down $1.81, and if it breaks this area right now, we may see a fall away type pattern that gets it into the mid 70s. Netgear, also a big rollover, and with a couple bear flags in this range. Key support right in this range. If it breaks here, we could see as low as $20 on it. Open table, come down hard from this little mini head and shoulders, formed a little bear flag in here, stair stepped its way lower, rallied back up to head fake here, roll over once again very hard from the 90 range down to the mid 50s, snap back to resistance at the mid channel line, and then rolled over once again to test support. This is in a key area here, and it's getting rather cheap, but with market negativity the way it is, if the market does come down further, we may see 50 or less on this. PH, Parker Hannifin, big top, broke down hard, ran from 90 or so down to the low 60s, snapped back to resistance, and rolled over to retest. If this fails, we can see the stock in the mid 50s before this one's over. Up next, Royal Caribbean Lines just falling away and at key support here. One to keep an eye on, but if it breaks this level, we may see high teens on it. Rockwell rolled over hard in the end of June, early part of July, snapped back to resistance and has rolled over to make new lows here. Wouldn't shock me to see an eventual test down in the high 40s. SFSF also in a very negative declining channel. This snapback was followed by even worse decline, although there is support and heavy support right in this zone here. There may be better shorts out there. TCLP broke down from a little head and shoulders top here, snapped back to resistance, rolled over to test key support and bounced, but has rolled over to retest. If this 39.40 zone is taken out, we could see this stock in the mid-30s. Tenneco broke a major head and shoulders type top, snapped back to resistance and is rolling over here. Next stop, mid-20s. And lastly today is TKR Timken, which had a massive top formation, break down very hard, snap back to resistance and roll over to retest. If indeed this zone of support does not hold, we could see this stock test the mid-20s before it's over. And there's your complete review of our box of shorts for today. There's several others out there to talk about, but we'll gives you an idea of how many stocks look negative, not just a small sample of the universe of the box of shorts today. Take it easy. Have a good evening.